The day the world ignited. Beginning of World War II. The sound that broke the dawn. It began with a sound the world was not ready for. A deep, almost impossible vibration rolling beneath the soil like something ancient waking from sleep. It crawled through the wheat fields of northern Poland before sunrise, slow, steady, mechanical, unnatural. At 4:17 a.m., a shepherd standing alone on a quiet hillside felt the ground tremble beneath his boots. His sheep stopped moving. The dog at his side whined, ears pinned flat, staring toward a horizon that was still dark. The shepherd squinted. And there, for the briefest moment, through the fog, he saw shapes. Metal monsters, crawling, silent, relentless. He stepped back in fear. And then, suddenly, boom! A blast erupted so violently that the very air seemed to break. No warning, no announcement, just fire. A Polish radio station crackled alive 3 towns over. A panicked voice shouted words that would change history. "We are under attack! Germany has crossed the border!" And in that moment, though the world did not yet know it, the first spark of the most devastating war in human history had been struck. This is the story of how that spark grew into a fire that consumed nations. This is how the world ignited. Chapter 1. Ashes before the fire. Long before the tanks rolled through Poland, long before the bombs fell, long before Hitler ever raised his voice to command a nation, the seeds of World War II were already buried deep within the soil of Europe. The broken peace. The year was 1919. The Treaty of Versailles was signed. Germany had lost the First World War and was forced to accept full responsibility for it. They were stripped of land, pride, and hope. Their economy collapsed. Inflation turned money to ash. Families starved. Entire cities spiraled into despair. People sold wedding rings just to buy bread. Children fainted in classrooms from hunger. A loaf of bread cost a wheelbarrow of banknotes. This was not peace. It was humiliation wearing the mask of justice. And humiliation is dangerous. Enter the unlikely man. In a Munich beer hall in 1923, a man stood on a table and began to speak. He had a strange voice, shrill, angry, hypnotic, a voice sharpened by pain and obsession. His name was Adolf Hitler, a veteran from the trenches of World War I. At first, no one knew him, but as he spoke, as he promised to rebuild Germany, to restore pride, to punish those he said betrayed the nation, people listened. They didn't realize they were listening to the spark of a future inferno. Twist of fate. He tried to overthrow the government that year and failed. He was arrested, humiliated. Everyone assumed that would be the last the world ever heard of him. They were wrong. Jail didn't break him. It sharpened him. And quietly, dangerously, the fire grew. Chapter 2. A dictator is forged. Germany falls in love with a lie. By 1933, Germany was desperate, more desperate than the world understood. Factories silent, families homeless, people searching for someone, anyone to blame. And Hitler gave them names: enemies, targets, scapegoats. He promised strength, he promised unity, he promised a future worth believing in. With terrifying skill, he turned democracy against itself. Through backroom deals, manipulated elections, and ruthless propaganda, he became chancellor. Then, one February night, the German parliament building, the Reichstag, went up in flames. A mysterious fire, a lone suspect, a rushed trial. and within hours, Hitler declared emergency powers. Some say he used the fire. Others say he caused it. To this day, no one knows the full truth. But what is certain is that Germany awoke the next morning no longer a democracy, and Hitler never gave those powers back. A nation transformed. Factories reopened, this time to build tanks instead of tractors. Universities purged dissenting voices. Books were burned. New laws targeted those Hitler considered undesirable. At first, the world watched with unease. Then, silence. Appeasement. Denial. Fear. The fire grew hotter. Chapter 3. Whispers of War. The world's biggest mistake. Hitler's first moves were small, calculated, almost subtle. He sent troops into the demilitarized Rhineland. Europe protested, then did nothing. He annexed Austria. Europe protested, then did nothing. He demanded the Sudetenland. Europe protested and gave it to him. Neville Chamberlain returned to Britain waving a paper declaring, "Peace for our time." But he was wrong. Hitler didn't want peace. He wanted all of Europe. Behind closed doors, he smiled at the world's hesitation. Behind locked rooms, his generals drafted a plan for invasion. And in a secret meeting in Moscow, something unthinkable happened. Hitler, bitter enemy of communism, made a pact with Stalin, leader of the Soviet Union. They agreed to split Poland between them. One of the darkest alliances in history. The world didn't know it yet, but this was the moment war became inevitable. Chapter 4. The Invasion. September 1st, 1939. 4:45 a.m. All across the Polish border, fog hung heavy like a curtain hiding doom. Then, without warning, Germany attacked. Planes screeched across the sky. Bombs erupted in cities still half asleep. Tanks tore through defensive lines. Radio towers fell. Railways exploded. Polish soldiers woke to explosions before they even knew war had begun. Hitler used a terrifying new strategy. Blitzkrieg, lightning war, fast, precise, brutal. And Poland was caught between two monsters, because just 16 days later, the Soviet Union invaded from the east. Poland never stood a chance, but the world had finally been forced to open its eyes. Chapter 5. The World Responds. Britain and France declare war. On September 3, 1939, radios across Europe crackled. This country is at war with Germany. Britain and France finally acted. Crowds gathered in silence, listening to a declaration they had feared for years. Families huddled around radios. Mothers cried quietly. Children asked if there would be bombs. Europe braced itself, but Hitler was ready, more ready than anyone realized. Behind the scenes, he had spent years preparing, stockpiling weapons, recruiting loyal soldiers, building secret alliances, crushing anyone who opposed him. The world thought they could scare him. They didn't know he had planned every move. Chapter 6. Shadows and Secret Battles. Resistance awakens. In the darkness of occupation, heroes rose. Polish pilots fled to Britain, becoming some of the most skilled fighter aces of the war. Underground resistance networks formed, smuggling intelligence, rescuing families, sabotaging trains. But Hitler tightened his grip. Night arrests, secret police, vanishing civilians. A new darkness crept across Europe, deeper than bombs and battles. And still, the world hadn't seen anything yet. The real horrors were still brewing behind barbed wire camps, behind sealed orders, behind the twisted ambitions of one man. Chapter 7. The Fire Spreads. Hitler's next target. After crushing Poland, he turned west. Denmark fell in hours, Norway in weeks, Belgium and the Netherlands in days. Then came France. The world believed France's army was unmatched. Yet in 6 weeks, France collapsed. How? Because Hitler didn't attack the strongest defenses. He attacked where no one expected, through the Ardennes forest, thought impossible for tanks to cross. A stunning twist, a fatal miscalculation, a nation lost. Hitler walked through Paris